Good evening, everyone. It is Thanksgiving Eve, November 27th, 2019. And I think the Sharks were already thinking about the turkey and the stuffing. They lose 5-1 to the Winnipeg Jets. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every single San Jose Sharks game. So, of course, if you want to be a part of the show, here's how you do it. Join us with fellow Sharks fans in the YouTube chat on the page or the app. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on the social. And if you miss anything, just check us out on the podcast and audio section of your favorite podcatcher. So there you go. With me tonight, it is the angry Canadian robot, Ian Reid.
Hello, hello. We're here. Let's do this.
Yeah,
let the massacre begin.
I'll trade everybody, right?
We gotta fire them first.
Yes. Sharks coming into this one 9-1-0 in the last 10. Winnipeg on a great run themselves at 8-2-1. The Sharks have had 6 one-goal wins in this one, and including winning the last 3 in overtime. But you know what? That's why they play the game, folks. And it's going to be a good one against Winnipeg either way. So the West Side Story Series game number 2. Early on, Wheeler takes a holding call at the minute 26. And it sets up a theme where the Sharks don't do much on this power play against the 29th best PK in the league again.
Yeah, I mean, the team just looked disjointed tonight, and this power play was certainly a sign of things to come. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good, but I can't really tell you what in this game was good. That's that's going to be the theme of the evening, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly. I like that. Andy Man, henceforth PD Beach.
Well, you know what? And God, I can't believe I'm not going to defend Peter DeBoer here, but the front office is really hamstrung them. Like, I have my issues with Peter DeBoer, and I've made them known 100 million trillion zillion times. So I'm not going to rehash them because they don't need to be rehashed. But this, I mean, Tomas Hertl goes down, and that's been a huge problem. And the fact that they've done as well without Hertl until this point as they have is pretty damn good, because I mean, they're so hamstrung by all these contracts. They have no cap space. They have no depth. Joe Thornton hasn't been the player that he was even last year,
right? At
any point. I mean, you're playing with 5 NHL forwards at this point, and a bunch of guys that may or may not be NHL forwards,
right?
Like, what the hell's Peter DeBoer supposed to do? I'm not a Peter DeBoer guy, but at this point, I don't know what the hell he's supposed to do, because he doesn't have the tools, and that directly falls on the front office.
Absolutely. Jerry in the chat is echoing what Peter DeBoer said earlier this morning. The power play is least of my concerns. Well, obviously. Yeah, the power play took a big hit tonight, but Felix Chow, super chat donation. Thank you very much, Felix, even though you kind of work for us. But we appreciate it as all. The money that gets donated goes back to help support the show and the website, so we appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Want to extend my love and appreciation to everyone, especially to Laurel. We love you, and we're with you all the way.
It's true. Also, I would also like to yes. Also, I'd like to wish you all a happy Thursday.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, moving along, at 6:37, Shimmick takes an interference call. Shimmick starting to roll up the penalty minutes a bit too, which is starting to get concerning. Winnipeg wouldn't do much, but little less than a minute right after that, Melker Karlsson gets his 4th on a nice feed from Joe Thornton and Mario Ferraro to make it 1-0 Sharks. The Milkman delivering once again, Ian.
Yeah, it was a nice little goal. I mean, I think I tweeted, like, Melker found his NOS kit, because, like, he just, that little burst of speed that he got there for a second was just, that's the only thing I could think of, was like, like he like burned some nos there, just gone. Yeah, it was a nice goal, and even though that things weren't going the Sharks' way, you thought at that point, well, maybe they eke another one out, and we were so wrong at that point. But that was kind of the thought I had at that point, right? Like, it's it was a bright spot. You thought maybe they're gonna eke this out, but.
And then the rest of the game happened. Just another Randy G, another super chat donation. Thank you so much. Even though this game sucked, I'm thankful for the Sharks and the community we have to discuss games through good times and bad. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it immensely. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, that like button as well, and that notification bell. That tells you when we go on the air. We do this after every single game, so we appreciate each and every one of you very much. So Sharks get on the board, make it 1-0, and then a minute after that, Morrissey goes in for probably the closest puck over glass penalties I've seen tonight, or any time for that matter. And of course, the Sharks don't do anything. I don't even think they got a chance to set up on this one. And it was a tough one. And sure enough, right after that, Meyer takes a tripping call and sets up Patrick Laine on the power play to make it 1-1.
That was a nice shot, but I don't know how that pass makes it like to Laine. So credit to the Jets, because that pass should never have gotten there. And maybe that's, credit to the Jets' detriment to the Sharks' defense. I know Rob in the chat saying Karlsson was a -4 tonight. I mean, I'm sure everyone was a minus tonight because they were abysmally terrible. Like,
yeah.
This is, I hate saying like disinterested, but that's the way they looked, right? Like, it was brutal. Like, it was a nice shot by Laine for sure. He should have never been that open. That pass should never had made it through. But it did, and that's what happens when you do. Aaron Dell, not a whole lot you can do there. You have to respect the shot from the bad angle. So there's not really much he can do to cut the angle down on that. And if you're gonna let pucks go to open guys on the other side of, on the other face-off circle, there's not much he can do. He can't come out to there's no time to come out and challenge that shot. He just leaves a whole lot of net open. Defense completely let him down, hung him down, hang him out to dry, and he gave it a go, and it didn't work out, and 2-1 Jets.
Yep, and that cost them in there, and David Gustafsson, as you say, made it 2-1. With his first NHL goal, was a nice shot too. And
yes, Laine was first, and okay, whatever. Right. I don't care. I lost track because this game was so terrible. I tweeted out. I remember I said in a tweet it was like, hey, what about this thing that happened in the second? And sure enough, it happened on the show for real. I'm just like, what? I was actually supposed to be paying attention to this thing at this point?
Well, it was all just a cluster F after that. I mean, Laine gets at 13:15, and then at 18:09, Gustafsson, congratulations, you became the 103rd player to score their first NHL goal against the Sharks. And yes, when looking that up, not even close to being the team on top. I think the team on top has 114. So, woohoo.
And they've probably been in the league a lot longer than the Sharks.
Right. Andy Mann saying only Dylan, Melker, Jumbo were a plus. Gambrell, Goody, Suomela, Heed, and Shimmick were even tonight. Everybody else was either minus or a really big minus. I think we saw. Our own AJ, who's helping us out tonight, said that Couture and EK65 were -4 in this one. But
but it was just such a abysmal. We could center people out and get really angry at them, and I understand the desire for that. But I mean, the team was just such a tire fire tonight. I'm trying to find just things that aren't going to get me in trouble to describe this team right now. Obviously those players are supposed to be your best players and they need to be better, but this team was just brutal tonight. And
not to make any excuses either, though, Ian. I mean, you're going through a stretch where they're playing essentially every other day, and now you're going into this weekend where you're going to be playing an awkward 1 p.m. start on Friday against Los Angeles, and then you're going to a 5 p.m. start against the Desert Dogs. So, I mean, was it 5 games and 7 nights in the stretch? And they
Let me make one observation. 5 games, 9 days. Last 3 go to overtime. You've been without Hertl for 4 games. You're rolling 7D. You're leading the league in penalties. This caught up with them. It was bound to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
absolutely.
And for me, a guy who normally goes out of his way to defend the referees, sometimes it feels like on this show, but there's been a lot of penalties on the Sharks in this stretch where I'm just like, really? That's a call? And then nothing goes the other way? Like, and this is coming from a guy who, if you've watched this show for a long time, I am not the guy that usually jumps all over the referees, but even like, I have to admit at this point, I can't defend this officiating. The Sharks have been I'm not saying they played a perfect game and they haven't deserved some penalties, but the number of penalties and the softness of some of these calls is frustrating to watch. And that's coming from a guy who normally bends over backwards to defend the refs on this show.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned it in the last game. I think it was like 23-12 or over the last 5-6 games, and tonight now they changed the graphic to 0 for 6, but for the Sharks, but I mean, you're looking at 26 to 18-19 chances. I mean, and of course, it doesn't help things at all in the sense that we have a penalty shot, which I thought was probably softer than Mr. Softy. In my opinion, or the non-call as Roslovic gets out of the penalty box, and
the other thing too, I think that you have to keep in mind also is that when you've got guys that are playing tired people make mistakes.
Yep.
And that's, and obviously, look, the Sharks with the way they've deploying their lineups right now, and you can argue that maybe XYZ guy on the Barracuda should be playing instead of having 7 defensemen or whatever the hell you're going to argue. Without Hertl, this team is in a ton of trouble. And the fact that there's not really been a lot of talk about what the injury is, it's just game. Like, I am very nervous because of the way this team communicates injuries to us, that we're just going to be sitting here until the middle of February going, oh yeah, Hertl's still day to day before we find out like he's done for the season or something stupid, right?
Exactly.
So look, if Hertl's not back soon, this team is in serious trouble because Hertl's the engine on this team. You notice Hertl not being there. I think some of the guys have been able to, in some of the wins, have been able to cover for that, but again, like AJ said earlier, this was going to catch up to them eventually. It was only a matter of time.
And we even talked about the defense too, with EK65 and Burns so early in the season going over 25 minutes. It was just, it's going to catch up, and you don't want it to catch up this early. But we're getting some comments out of the locker room here. DeBoer on the fatigue factor tonight. Quote, "We were lifeless, so I don't know what the answer is. We've got a lot of hockey left to play over the next 2-3 weeks. I hope it's not fatigue, but if it is, we've got to rebound because you get what you earn in this league."
I don't know about you, but I always enjoy it when my coach says, I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, that is not a great sign.
What's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to bury the front office he's kind of taken he's very subtly commented on the lack of tools in his toolbox.
I mean, in like you said, their hands are tied. I mean,
yes,
PDB only can do so much. For that matter, Doug Wilson, who put it into this mess, his hands are tied too. I mean, what
he
next?
tied his own hands. Like,
right.
I'm not pouring one out for Doug Wilson because he decided that he was going to put a bajillion, and I'm not saying like this isn't against Erik Karlsson. This is just a overall look at the team. So before everyone jumps on me, you have, how much money's tied up on that blue line, and it's cost you because you have no depth. You know, the guys, everyone's talking about this right now. Kerr's did an article about it, everything else. Right. The guys that were supposed to be there on the Barracuda that were supposed to take jobs haven't done it. Right. Now, you can argue whether that's Peter DeBoer's fault, they haven't done it or whatever. I would hear those arguments, but the reality of the situation is they don't have Peter DeBoer is not happy with the tools that he has been given, period. And regardless of what you feel about Peter DeBoer, this trend can't continue with playing 11 forwards. And it's just, it can't. Something has to give. And the problem is you have no cap space. People are saying, oh, well, you know, sign this guy, sign that guy. You don't have the cap space to sign this guy, sign that guy. Because the second hurdle's healthy again, guess what? You're back at zero, basically.
Yep. All right, guys, hear me out. Next game, 11 defensemen, 7 forwards.
Do it. Jones to center, Burns to goalie, Couture to defense.
Hey, he does work the point on the power play. I mean, why not, right? Geez, let's see what else we got. Andy Man. To hear him say he's not sure what the answer is and he hopes the guys aren't tired, that's seriously concerning. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously, you want your coach not to be an oblivious moron. I don't know how to more politely say that, right? Like, obviously, you hope your coach isn't an oblivious moron. And sometimes you feel like he is, and other times I just don't know. I don't know. That's the problem.
Laurel in the chat, 1.4K have viewed that 10-second clip of the ref pushing LeBanc to the ice at 5:07 the first. What the F was that?
Okay, here's where I defend the refs. Players backing into me. Obviously I don't think he intended to push him that hard. It was more of like, hey, I'm here. Don't crash me. Don't put me into the boards with your ass. Like, gotta be safe, right? And obviously player didn't realize the ref was there. Ref probably panicked. It sucks. The optics of it aren't great, but that to me is a ref saying, hey, please don't put me into the boards with your ass.
Fair enough. All right, second period, the 3:29 Scheifele from Connor and Laine make it 3-1. Gambrell goes off for slashing, and just right after he gets out, Roslovic takes a roughing call. That sets up a Sharks power play, which didn't do anything. There's where the questionable call doesn't get called.
And what Ian is really saying is the officials would prefer if you did not back that ass up.
Right.
No Burnsy buck check for them.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Timo Meier hip check tonight?
Oh, yes. 2 minutes for hip checking.
Oh, God.
And that's a perfect example of what I was talking about with some of the calls that are just so soft where you're just like, what in the hell was that?
I didn't know you can play footsies and hip check and then everybody gets all in butthurt mode. I mean, that just seems ridiculous.
I want to address something in the chat quick. Anthony Sanchez asking if Hurdle's injured, why not put him on the LTIR? Problem is if you put a player on the IR, they have to be on the IR for a period of time. So what'll happen is you'll see sometimes when a player ends up being out as long as they could be on the IR, they will get retroactively put on the IR, and then they can save some cap space that way. But obviously, he's in a spot where he's been just day to day, which is what the Sharks do. If they put him on the LTIR, it would preclude him from being able to come back into the lineup until a certain period of time, depending on that back date that they retroactively put him onto it for. So as much as I complain about the Sharks going, day to day, oh, it's February. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It should also be mentioned that Hurdle did skate this morning with the team.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's probably closer to being back than I'm probably being a little melodramatic about it. But that you don't want to put a player on the IR unless you know he's going to be out for that specific time span.
Right. Rob Iman saying you can't play 7 D-men in a back-to-back. You're just going to wear your team out. I mean, if this team makes the playoffs, you do not want them dragging their feet in round one.
I don't even talk. Let's not even like.
I'm just saying fatigue down the road. That's all. Hang on, I'm not trying to get that. I'm just saying down the road.
Yes, down the road.
That's all.
Maybe. I mean, thank God the Sharks are in the Pacific Division, because like we could realistically talk about playoffs with how wide open the stupid division is, because it's so bad. But I mean, the Sharks have bigger problems right now than to worry about potential playoffs down the road.
Right.
I'm typically not a grammar Nazi, but Rob, you've misspelled waiver wire.
I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Moving onward, Boteto takes an interference call, which I think was more obvious than the tripping or interference that they called on Meyer earlier in the game. Again, Sharks don't do anything on that. They go into the third period. Dylan gets I didn't know you can just wave your stick near a guy and that gets you a penalty shot now. He gets called for hooking.
I didn't like that call at all. No,
that
I didn't
was
like it either.
Awful.
I thought maybe a hooking penalty. Like if you want to call that hooking, sure, but a penalty shot, dear God. Yeah. Dear God.
And that sets up a Roslovic penalty shot, which Christian Ehrhoff would have been proud of the shot attempt. So.
You might have filed a trademark claim.
No, boy.
Oh, my God. So terrible.
Pionk would go off for interference at 7:03. Again, the Sharks don't do anything.
Can we just fast forward to when Peter DeBoer pulls the goalie?
That's where I was getting at. We're at 14:32 with 5 minutes and 28 seconds left. Peter DeBoer says, why not? I'll go full Patrick Waugh. Pulls the goalie down by 3, and then, of course, 11 seconds later, Kyle Connor buries the empty net like that.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. Like, the team really wasn't showing enough jam where I think that's going to change momentum. I mean, I guess you got to try something. What did they have to lose at that point, right?
True, but
at the same time, it looks completely ridiculous, and I just kind of laugh. Like I guess Peter DeBoer maybe for a second forgot it was the NHL and maybe thought, hey, if they get 5, we can get the mercy rule and just end this game.
Either that or the coach is at its wit's end. If he doesn't know if he's saying, I'm not sure what we can do, or power play isn't concern, or I'll just
the only goal that I really put on Dell was the one that he just didn't glove. Other than that, I don't think he had a great. Don't at me and tell me how I think Aaron Dell had a great game. He didn't have a great game, but the only goal I really felt him for was the one that popped out of his glove and went in the net. So I don't know. I mean, if it was, if he was terrible, maybe he was just making a point that, look, we don't even need a goalie. I don't know.
You know what the problem is? It was one time a coach made the decision to pull the goalie insanely early, and it worked one time. And everybody's going to go back to that as their defense.
It's a freaking copycat league.
Lately. Like the pulling the goalie to get that extra goal, I feel like I've seen it a lot, like in the last couple of weeks. But I mean, these are 1-goal games, not whatever.
Anthony Sanchez in the chat. Why is Reid still on the roster if he's a healthy scratch? Why is Gregor called up if he isn't getting ice time? Wouldn't it benefit Gregor more to practice with the Kuhre?
Because this team is broken from top to bottom. No, look, I mean, yeah, again, this is something that I've harked back on a lot. Obviously, I think Reid's a guy. He's interchangeable. I liked what I saw from Noah Gregor and what little we have seen of him. Obviously, Peter DeBoer doesn't feel the same way, and that's unfortunate. I don't know. Like, I wish I could give you a logical answer.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Yeah, just another Randy G. I'll disagree with Ian here. I think Dell that this was a good game for what he is.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't think he was. Again, you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm being a little critical here, but at this, like, it's hard because the whole team was garbage in front of him. So maybe I am, I don't know. I don't want to say he had I don't think he had a great game. He had an okay game. I mean, it wasn't his game that he played against Montreal, or it wasn't the game he played a couple nights ago. I don't know. I mean, we can split hairs on Aaron Dell here. The whole team wasn't really great. I don't think he was fantastic. I thought he made some nice saves, but he wasn't on the verge of stealing the game either. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, for me to give a goalie on when you have an effort like this, to say it's a great game, like, you have to be in a position to maybe steal the game. Aaron Dell wasn't in a position to steal this game. And that could be splitting hairs, and I understand that, we're allowed to disagree with each other.
Absolutely. Brandon Armstrong, good evening to you from Winnipeg. Appreciate your support there. The concern I thought was the power play going into tonight. PDB didn't think so. Take a look at what's happened over the last 6 games, and I put this together specifically to show, when the last time they scored a power play goal was against Detroit on the 16th. Winnipeg, they changed it from 0 for 7, now it's 0 for 6. LA, they were 0 for 2. Islanders 0 for 1, 0 for 2 against Las Vegas, 0 for 2 against Edmonton, 1 for 3 against Detroit. First off, they're not drawing as many penalties as they're completely getting owned, but going 1 for 16 on the power play, and you're not concerned?
Well, you don't have Hertl in the lineup though for half of those games. Like,
so what? We're supposed to just say, well, okay, we're okay then.
No, I don't think you just, but I think you could. I mean, Hertl's a big driver on this team. Hertl drives a lot of play. Hertl's the engine of this team. So I think that, well, I'm not saying that they should just, be like, well, we don't have Hertl, F it, we're done. I still think that it does need to be stated. Like, it cannot be stated enough that not having Tomas Hertl right now is obviously going to have a big impact on those numbers.
Right. And that's definitely something to talk about, is that, yeah, you're missing Hertl, but you also have a lot of other guys that can
do they though? Do they?
Well,
they have 5 NHL forwards and a bunch of guys.
Well, Evander Kane was on a power play fire early in the season, and that's cooled down.
And now he's getting double shifted with Timo Meier. Like,
that's true.
Like, you can't. It's easy to look at things like this in a bubble, but there's a lot of factors playing into it. You've got Timo Meier and Evander Kane getting double shifted to make up for Hertl being gone, and the fact that they're not dressing enough forwards to ice 4 lines. These things are going to add up.
I completely agree with you, Ian, on that. These guys are getting tired, and it's starting to show, and it's not supposed to start to show late November. So.
Yeah, I agree. Look at the power play being predictable. Look at we can hammer. I mean, we can hammer on the power play. I still think though, when you've got guys that are clearly playing tired, you've got you got players that aren't there. Look, it's not like this. If the power play was the same whole year, then great. But obviously, they have had success on the power play with a full lineup, and it's no coincidence that it's died off in the last few games, considering everything that's happened, with whether it be the penalty kill, whether it be the fact that they're only dressing 11 forwards for whatever reason, like just the stupid stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Final stats on the night: Sharks 33-26 in shots. Faceoffs were even. Winnipeg goes 1 for 3 on the power play for a team that's 24th in the league. Just another Randy G, 9-28. Looked gassed this game. Completely agree.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, everyone looked gassed this game. But I mean, look at. There's obviously, you can't double shift guys for multiple games in a row when you're playing this many games in this little time and just expect everything to run smoothly and everything's going to be fantastic.
Yep. Sharks go 0 for 6 on the power play tonight when they generated 6 chances on that. Combined 52 penalty minutes overall. Giveaways were even, blocks 17-5 in favor of Winnipeg in this one. Time on ice wise was pretty solid. I mean, Barclay Goodrow 11-15 is the least of your worries. Ante Sumuela, gets 12-27. I mean, that's quite interesting in that.
Well,
same thing with Melker
everyone
Karlsson.
looks as bad as they did. I mean, you have no point. I mean, especially once you're losing like this, I think it becomes very easy to just throw people over the bench.
Yeah. Annie Man mentioning guys with 6+ minutes of power play time tonight. Couture over 7, Kane over 7, LeBanc over 6, Meyer over 6, EK65 over 6, Burns with 8. Just so many chances and just not a whole lot. And a few of those power plays looked pretty bad.
Oh, they're just terrible. I mean, you saw Couture win the faceoff and then immediately send it down to his own end for just no reason at all.
Right.
And then they can't retake the zone after that. And that was the thing that the Jets did really well was on the penalty kill, which, again, by the numbers, this penalty kill shouldn't be this good. The Sharks had so much trouble just getting into the zone. Forget, talk about, the predictable I pass, you pass, I pass, you shoot. Hell, a lot of the time the Sharks couldn't even get to that point because they couldn't even get into the zone and even remotely set up.
Yeah.
I would like to offer you guys a visual representation.
Oh,
tonight, the part of the Sharks power play wanting to get into the game will be played by Brody Brazil. Scott Hannon and Curtis Brown will be playing every other NHL team. And here we go.
Damn.
Brody gets no love, except for when he's on with us. So, Brody, if you're watching, if you want some love, you want that fist bump, you know where to find us. Just put it out there.
Yeah.
So, here's an interesting stat with this loss. The Sharks are 9-2-1 when scoring first. They are 0-11 after trailing after one period. Very interesting stats there. John, super chat donation, gobble to this turkey of a game.
Yeah, word.
No kidding, indeed.
Word.
So with that, gentlemen, is it time?
Sure.
All right.
I don't want to do it. Oh, okay. For the love of God, give this guy a goddamn reach around. I forgot how it goes.
That's all right.
that
or as I like to call this segment, what you should have watched instead of this game.
Oh,
me likey. Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
There we go, but it's wrap around. So if you would like to watch a team in Teal do something, well, the Barracuda played earlier tonight against the San Diego Gulls. Didn't start out too well. They were down 1-0 with Chris Weidman scoring a goal for the San Diego Gulls. Second period, Johnny Bronzinski ties it up on assist from Alexander True and Joachim Blichfeld to make it 1-1. The Gulls would tie it up or give the lead 5 minutes later, and then Edvin Winger gets his fifth with 3:27 to play to tie it up, and Jaden Helgewatz. Yes, we finally figured out how to pronounce his name. His fourth of the season, he gets the game-winning goal. The Kuhre win 3-2, outshooting the Gulls 41-16 in this one tonight.
So with that, give him some.
Ooh, Barracuda.
Friday madness at the Shark Tank.
Not only Friday night, but that is also the first of 3 bobbleheads. Friday, 6 p.m. That bobblehead will feature Timo Meier and Aaron Dell. So, yes, that is a Black Friday game. So, come out, check out the boys versus Bakersfield, 6 p.m.
And you can get your tickets at sjbarracuda.com. for that one. Let's get to the NHL wrap around here. Flames win in overtime 3-2. Lindholm, his 12th of the season at 117, gets the victory for Calgary. That doesn't help the Sharks at all, right?
Nope.
In Ottawa, Brad Marchand and Zdeno Chara get the 2 goals in the third period to give the Bruins a 2-1 victory over the Senators in that one. In Detroit, it was a goal bonanza for the Leafs in the first 2 periods. They win 6-0. John Tavares gets his 7th. Tyson Barrie on a 3-game goal-scoring streak in this one. In the second period of this game, they were outshooting Detroit 24-4, which was bad. In fact, Jimmy Howard was out of this game, and Jonathan Bernier, who was apparently sick with the flu, had to come in and finish it. So, wow.
Yikes.
So great break for the Kuhre to get their victory tonight. That's terrific. In Tampa Bay, the Stanley Cup champions take down the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3. Braden Shen with the eventual game-winning goal on the power play, his 13th of the season. Oscar Sundqvist gets two goals in the second in the winning cause. Vasilevsky takes the loss. In Manhattan, the Rangers beat the Hurricanes 3-2. Zibanejad, Smith, and Fox get the goals all in the first period, for the Rangers. The Hurricanes had 2 goals in the second to make it interesting, but nothing gets by King Lundqvist in the third to make it that. So, Ian, if I were to tell you with about 13 minutes to go in a game, Vancouver would be up 6-3. You would think, well, that's probably pretty good. That's
generally pretty good, yeah.
2 goals from JT Miller.
Oh man, that's turned out to be such a deal. I pretty sure I bagged on that trade when it happened because of the cost. And oh man, that is I get things wrong on occasion, and that was one of the things I got wrong. Also, I thought the New Jersey Devils would be good, and I don't know why I thought that. I am an idiot.
To address the dead air comments, I was muted when I talked about the Barracuda. So to recap, prior to Habgawaks scoring the winning goal in overtime, they actually had to stop the play and let San Diego get a review because it appeared that prior to Habgawaks getting the winner, it looked like San Diego put one underneath the pipe, but alas, it did not happen.
Gotcha.
Now let's talk about Yevgeny Malkin scoring from sitting on his ass.
So JT Miller and Adam Gaudette get 2 goals each for Vancouver to make it 6-3, and then Pittsburgh decided, we'll make it a game. Malkin gets 2 goals. Letang gets the eventual game winner. I mean, Malkin scores probably one of the craziest empty netters I've ever seen. And the Penguins win 8-6 after trailing 6-3 with about 13 minutes to go in the game. Craziness going on there.
And can we talk for a hot second about what a cool dude Elias Pettersson is? Did you
go ahead?
Did you? I don't know if you guys saw the story during warm-ups. An errant puck that he had shot or whatever flipped out and hit somebody in the crowd. And Elias, however you want to say it, goes over to the bench, grabs a brand new Vancouver hat, writes sorry about the puck, and then signs his name and throws it over the glass to the person who was hit. Not only did Vancouver tweet out video of Pettersson doing this, but then they also retweeted the person who took a shot of themselves holding the cap at the game. So just a cool incident,
wow.
Something a little something for your Thanksgiving to give you the feels.
Yeah, I mean, and God, if hockey needed something like that, God, do they need it this week?
No kidding. Capitals, yeah, jeez. Capitals win 4-3 over the Panthers. Sergei Bobrovsky takes the loss for that one. Former Shark Mike Hoffman gets his 10th goal this season.
Just think that contract's still in its first year.
God damn. Ovechkin gets his 16th of the season in that one. In Columbus, the Blue Jackets lose to the Flyers 3-2. Claude Giroux with the game-winning goal in that one. And, of course, because they somehow find a way, if the refs don't hand it to them, the Golden Knights tied the game with 0.3 seconds left thanks to Max Pacioretty. And, of course, what happens? Sure enough, Peter Stastny gets the overtime winner to give the Vegas Golden Knights a 4-3 overtime victory over the Nashville Predators.
Now, look, so weird things are going to happen from time to time. Giving up one with 0.03 seconds left is very difficult, but Nashville did not look good in that overtime, and the 2-on-0 that they coughed up, it wasn't good.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, boo Vegas, but this stuff happens, and if they, if you don't play, you guys watch the game tonight. I don't need to tell you what happens when you don't play in a period or a game or for any stretch of time. You guys watch the game tonight. I don't have to tell you.
The Desert Dogs continue to do it again. They win 4-3 over the Anaheim Ducks. Christian Dvorak with 2 goals. Darcy Kemper stops more pucks than John Gibson did in the shootout, and the Coyotes now are at 33 points on the campaign. The Ducks sit at 11-11-4. The Colorado Avalanche win 4-1 over the Edmonton Oilers. Kuhre with the only goal for the Oilers there. Long Beach native and former Shark Matt Nieto with his 5th of the season to help things get going. Nathan McKinnon gets his 15th.
Do you know who assisted on that?
Would that be Jonas Donskoy?
How you know it?
Oh!
Let's also talk about the fact that the Avalanche scored those 3 goals in the third, all within 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, the Oilers, they had, one guy got hit, and then Larson went over and got himself ejected. So basically, the Oilers lost 2 defensemen of their 6 in the span of a play.
And I think you guys missed the obvious pun from the Nashville game,
which would be,
did you see that? Because UC didn't.
UC didn't.
Oh,
just
rough game for Saros, because Saros had actually had come on a little bit of late after a pretty rough start. So unfortunate game for him.
Yeah. Let's talk about the utter collapse of the New York Islanders in the state of California.
Yeah, they go 0-2-1 in the California games. They lose to the Los Angeles Kings 4-1. Dustin Brown scores again. That want to just buckle his effing knees. But Carter, Roy, and Iafallo get the goals for that one. Brassard, the only goal scorer for the Islanders. Not pretty. Not pretty at all. Felix, question for Ian, Puckeye, and HJ. Top 5 Sharks moments this decade.
Well, I mean, for me, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go with, going to the final, obviously. Jumbo slide.
Mm-hmm. Jumbo slide's a goodie.
Yeah. I can't lie. I still get a huge kick out of Mike Hoffman banner.
Yes.
I thought that was great. And honestly, I'm going to pull out a couple that tugs at the heartstrings, but they're just recently memorable to me. One of the best acquisitions the Sharks have ever had in someone by the name of Finn. I love that acquisition. And finally, honestly, I was really super duper impressed that Jamie Baker had the will and strength to kind of open up about what he's gone through with the whole Headstrong series. I thought it was very impactful. And it's too bad that it's taken this long for a lot of that stuff to kind of get to the forefront. But yeah, that I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, actually, because I as
top my 5, asshole.
Absolutely, I can't. I just on Jamie Baker. I've been pretty open with my struggles with my own mental health, and when I talked to him in Ottawa, we discussed mental health, and just amazing human being. I can't say enough good things about Jamie Baker.
Yeah, we love Bake so much.
Give me a quick top 5 without like really thinking of it.
Well, there's the Game 7 against Vegas.
Well, it seemed too obvious to me, but go ahead. Yes.
You can
have that. Oh, bringing back Marleau. That's a nice one.
Bringing back Patty. You can talk about the 2 trades for Burns and maybe EK65. You can maybe say the 2 Detroit series earlier in the decade.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm too angry at this team right now. I don't want to think nice thoughts. I'm sorry. I'm not
okay,
Thanksgiving.
Thursday. I guess not this Thursday.
Ian wants to bring up the reverse sweep. That's probably what it is.
Oh man, no, do not. Oh God.
He's angry, folks.
All right. If I can add a number 6, I'm just going to say it. Rafi Torres, 41 games.
Oh man.
Jeez. Oh man. So all right. Well, we have let's see, a game on Friday. That's at 1 p.m. But you can join myself, AJ. I think Felix has a birthday to celebrate too. We'll celebrate a day after, but Saturday, November 30th at 5 p.m., the Sharks will take on the Coyotes, but we will be at Stuffed Pizza in the IBU Tap Room at 1426 Dempsey Road in Milpitas for a viewing party. Sharks hockey, Sharks fans, pizza, prizes, giveaway, and maybe we do After Dark from Milpitas. We will see. So tell us. So come on over. So
are we that angry about being 8-2 in our last 10? No, I'm just. This game was bad. This game was one of those games where you look. A lot of people. There was a lot of empty seats at the end of that game, and I don't blame a single one of them. It's just one of those things. You got to remember. And I am not trying to like ask for sympathy or anything. I choose to do this. It is 2:04 in the morning where I live, so yeah, I'm a little crusty about this game.
He can be crusty. He can be cranky. He can.
It's fine. I mean, look, I get it. People think I'm being too down. I apologize. But it was just this game was a tough one.
Yeah, and it's a tough one, and we're going to have those. Anthony saying I left after the second period. It's one of those ones where it's going to be tough. Felix post birthday celebration for me at IBU, but a celebration nonetheless. Are you even allowed to drink, Felix? I don't know.
There was a lot more empty seats at the end than there was at the beginning. The end of the game looked like a Barracuda game.
And let's be real here. The Warriors played at home tonight in a fancy new building that might be doing things too, along with there's a certain football team doing good too.
No, it's fine. I mean, look, it is what it is. It's being angry is my shtick.
I think we have a visual representation of the Sharks trying to reach out to their fan base.
Oh, poor Brody.
Yeah, no worries. Look, guys. I mean, I hope that I was able to. Yeah, look at. I mean, I was angry, but I hope that I think my analysis was fair, regardless of how annoyed I was with this game.
Oh, you're
and if it wasn't, you can always tweet me at Ian Blogs Hockey and tell me how terrible I am, and I will accept it.
Chris, Santa Cruz Sharks enjoyed your commentary tonight, Ian.
Perfect.
So. Felix, I'm going to be 25, Eric. I don't like the taste of alcohol, so there's that. Well, that makes 2 of us, my friend.
I think he spelled 15 wrong.
Felix. Oh, boy. Well, in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course, always available at tealtownusa.com. So check us out there. And do us a favor, of course, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button on the social media and everything. We do this for you. We get nothing out of this. You know,
it's not true. This is absolutely cathartic for me. I go to bed and sleep like a baby after this because I get it all out.
Well, that's a good point. And I'll be honest, when we started this thing 5 years ago, I think it's helped my mental health to get my venting out. So that's why we do it for us. So we'll be back with you following Sharks and Kings on Friday. That's a 1 p.m. start. And then, of course, the viewing party game on Saturday at 5. But, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, which is just a typical Thursday in Canada.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and we want to thank each and every one of you who follow us, who support us, who've been there through the beginning, or you're just a new person. Appreciate you immensely, and thank you so much to each and every one of you.
I think we have a visual representation of how Canada feels about Thanksgiving in America.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, guys, I like to bug you guys, but happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Please, if you are going to go out and enjoy the festivities, do it responsibly. Please don't drink and drive, and don't kill anyone over a stapler on Black Friday, please.
Oh, gosh.
Rob Iman, this is in the works.
Yep, that is in the works, so be on the lookout for that. So if you're going to the game on Friday, Anthony Sanchez get a $2 discount for Friday's Kuhre game if you're present with your Sharks Kings ticket. So jump on that.
Do not forget, first 4,000 people through the doors at the Barracuda game will receive the one of 3 bobbleheads featuring this one, Timo and Dell.
And let's be real here. You're not going to find parking at Santana Row. You're not going to find parking at Valley Fair. For now, you'll find some parking around the Shark Tank. But I would say go check out some hockey. Why not? So I'll see you at the tank on Friday for Sharks and Kings. We'll be back with you then for some afternoon delight on After Dark. And until subscribe to us. Thanks for watching. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Be safe out there.
And keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal.
I said that already.